What is going on, friends? It is Ben with Bearded Spruce back for another tutorial. Today I'm actually going to start this super fun project, a modern swing set, and you probably saw it in the card that you clicked on to watch this video, but it is going to turn out so cool. To build this, all you need is 3 4x6 by 12 foot boards that you can see behind me, 2 2x4s by 8. I'll explain why you need those, and then some scrap pieces of wood, and then some concrete, a post hole digger or an auger if you choose to go that route. I decided to go the post hole digger because I already have it. Why not get in some exercise while I build this? And then this is going to be actually a 3 swing set. In the middle of the 2 big 4x6s is going to be 8 feet, and then I'm going to have an overhang on this side that's going to hang over about 3 feet for another either rope that you can climb up or some kind of swing on that side, like one of those like circle ones or something like that. So I'm leaving plenty of room on that side. But the hardware that I'm going to use for this build is going to be off of Amazon. I don't have it right now, it's supposed to get in tonight. I'll link to all of the hardware and the cut lists and the materials that I use in the description below. Feel free to check that out. I kind of go into more detail on what you need for this project, but I'm also going to explain it and show the pieces as I go. So one thing I wanted to say is, if you have seen my videos before, thanks for coming back. I really appreciate my audience. I try to do really fun projects that I think you'll be interested in and you can learn something from. I don't always do things perfectly, but I try to be open and transparent throughout the process. When I do mess up, I kind of show like how I problem solve and that kind of stuff. If you're new to my channel, thanks for watching. You're probably watching this because you want to see this build of this modern swing set, so let's get rolling. In the meantime, feel free to subscribe or like this video. It's really up to you, but I really appreciate when you do. All the links in the description below are affiliate links. That's a great way to support my channel. Just a little giving back when you buy something on Amazon after you click through that link. So, all right, let's jump into the video. First thing I did was measure out 8 feet from this hole that you can kind of see in the video, and then this hole over here. And then I want it square to the fence. So I measured 8 feet away from the fence. Minimum that you want it from a structure of any kind is 6 feet. So I thought might as well give a little extra room. So I did 8 feet away from the fence. And then you can't see this, but in front of me and in front of where the swings are gonna go is open to grass and a field, so the rest of our backyard, so there's nothing to hit that way. So 8 feet from the fence on both of the holes, and then 5 feet away from these trees over here that are out of view, but that's going to have that 3 foot overhang that I'll get to later in the video. But first thing we got to do is dig these holes. It is getting hot here in Denver, and a storm is going to come later this afternoon. So I'm gonna just charge through digging these holes, and then I'll join you back when I have the holes dug. The holes that I'm gonna dig are gonna be 36 inches deep. I'm actually on a slight slope here. Over here is actually 4 inches lower than over here. So I'm gonna accommodate that with the depth of holes, but I'll get to that after I dig them. So let's get digging. What I'm using here is called a breaker bar, and it's great when you have clay soil like myself, or if you have rocks or roots that you want to go through. The post hole digger is great, but it's really hard to use, and your shoulders get really tired when it's really hard soil or one of the other issues. So once I have it kind of broken up, then I come back with the post hole digger and take out the loose soil, and then repeat the process over and over and over again until I get to my desired depth of 36 inches in both holes. You'll also notice that I have a tarp here. That is to put all the loose soil and dirt and rocks and everything that I take out of these holes. We had already pre-landscaped this area, but you might be digging on grass or something, and this is a great way to put all that soil on top and not disturb the landscaping below, and then you can pull that somewhere that you want the soil to be long term. This is a pretty long process, but really rewarding, and I will join you back when I have finished both holes. All right, so I got both holes dug, and I gotta be honest, every time I dig one of these holes, I'm reminded how much 36 inches is. It could almost, if it was a kid, it could almost ride a roller coaster. It just feels like it goes on forever. It took me about, an hour and a half to dig both holes. I would say if I were to dig 4 of these, I would definitely rent some kind of auger. 2 was doable, but definitely a lot of, hard work. So there's one hole, here's the second hole, and I started squaring up the 2 posts. I'm at like a wide angle, so they don't look square yet. One note to say is if you're working alone, you could definitely use another set of hands, but these clamps right here, any kind of quick clamp is crucial. Even if you're working with a partner, these things are awesome to kind of hold things exactly where you want them. You'll notice that the 2x4s don't go all the way to the edges. That's because I'm gonna do 8 foot to the center of each post. And so I'm going to, this one isn't quite right yet, but I'm gonna make sure that everything is perfectly 8 foot on the center at the bottom, and then 8 foot at the center at the top using the other 8 foot 2x4. And then I'm gonna come back and level out, this way, because if I go show you this, obviously those are not even close to level because I'm focusing on in between them right now. So I have put all the bracing in, made sure everything is super level, and you can see I put a piece up top to see if that part was level, and it totally is, which is the most important part. I want that to be level with the ground so the swings look level with the posts and just fit really well in the space. And basically what you do is, like I said, you brace the bottom to be 8 inches or 8 feet to the center of the post, brace the top to be 8 feet to the center of each post, and then I worked each of the posts to make sure that they were level like that, and then screwed in each of the braces, as well as made sure that these were all level. And they're not perfect yet, but as I pour the concrete, I'll fine tune and make sure they are just perfect all the way around. So now I'm going to start pouring the concrete, and I'll walk you through that process. So we want to keep our level handy as we go through this process, as well as some kind of sharp-ish flat thing. You could use a chisel or a screwdriver, but something to kind of mix the concrete. And what we're going to do is wet the hole, maybe an inch or 2 of water at the bottom, and then grab our concrete. I'm not sure exactly how much concrete we're going to need. 2 80-pound bags per hole. We'll see how much we end up using, but I can always go back and get more if I need it. I have a feeling this will be kind of perfect. I'm going to cut the bag open. And start pouring in a little bit. Maybe like a half of a bag. Oh wow, I don't think we're gonna need all bags. Wet it a little bit and use this guy to move it around so it's evenly spread throughout all sides and nice and wet. Make sure you get it on all sides. Get a few inches and then wet it down a little bit and use something to mix it around. I'll come back when it's all poured on both sides and we can review what we've done. So as you pour the concrete, I have it poured in both spots, and as I was pouring it, I was checking for level as I was going and just fine tuning. You can see it's perfectly level now on both sides, and I did the same thing on the other side. And so as you start leveling or pouring the concrete and get it in there, you just kind of use some manpower or woman power to push it into place, and then adjust your shims accordingly in the dirt or mulch or whatever you're using. And now it's just a waiting game. So a few things to note. I kept it about an inch lower than the rest of the dirt. Reason being is because this is a kid's playground, and I'm going to come back and backfill the mulch even thicker than it was before eventually, but you definitely want it to be lower. Cover it with a little dirt and then cover it with a bunch of mulch so kids don't like land on it. A hard day's work. I used about 2.5 bags of 80-pound concrete. Once it's like this, just double check all the level, and then this concrete needs to set for 24 hours. Leave your shims or your stays in place until it's completely dry, and then we'll come back tomorrow and finish this project. It's been actually a few days now, over right around 48 hours since I put the posts in, and like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I try to be as transparent as possible when I'm building projects like these, because it's not a project unless you go to Lowe's at least 3 times. If you do any DIY stuff at home, you know that is the truth. And just a fun story. So I ordered some brackets to go up on top to kind of hold everything in place for the top bracket on Amazon. And I was like, oh man, these are crazy cheap. I'm gonna do these instead of the ones at Lowe's. And I like the style better, a little more modern. And so I'm waiting for them to come in. My daughter's super excited. The Amazon guy delivers them. She's stoked, I'm stoked. And I open them up and they are tiny. So to put it in perspective, here is what I thought I was ordering that I went to Lowe's to grab just now this morning, and here's what showed up. And so make sure you read the description of what you're buying ahead of time. I went and got these at Lowe's. I'll link to a similar size of these on Amazon in case you don't want to buy them at Lowe's or Home Depot, but just make sure that you're buying something like this instead of something like this. So now that I have the appropriate hardware, I'm going to go through the process of how I'm going to get this installed. It's just me today. It would probably be super helpful if you had a buddy and a second ladder to kind of help in this process, but I'll show how to do this. I'm gonna install these first on the front side on both posts, the vertical posts, and then I'm going to lift the beam in place and hopefully get it secure with some clamps, and then come around the other side and install all of the screws and everything. And I'll show all the hardware that I'm going to use, the screws and everything throughout this process. So I'm going to get these installed up there, and then we'll join back to show you me hopefully lifting it in place. All right, so now that I have the two brackets in place, I have the clamps in place to kind of hold those steady, and now is the moment of truth. I'm gonna lift the beam into place. I've actually marked a foot over from that end that I want to end up in the middle of this beam, so the right amount of beam is hanging over this side, my right, your left. I just want to say this part is for entertainment purposes only. If you don't try this, if you're not comfortable doing it yourself, please just get a friend if you don't think you can do this. There's no shame in asking for help. With that said, let's give it a whirl. After I installed the beams, you can see that that one is almost flush with the top of the vertical post, and I just didn't like how that looked. So I ended up moving the bracket up and then attached it while the clamp was still on it on the left-hand side. And then you'll see that these are two different pieces. There's a washer and then the actual screw, and it comes with a special hex head, and you just screw them in and it sucks it right into place, and it's nice and tight. So now I'm going to go adjust the other side, and then I'll put brackets on the back side of it, and then all that will be left to do is hang the swings. Everything has been attached, and now it's time to hang the swings. I measured out 18 inches from each side and then divided by 3, and it actually turned out to be 18. So there's going to be 18 inches in between each swing and the side posts, as well as 18 inches between the swings in the middle, and then the brackets for each swing will be 18 inches away from each other, and that will allow me to have a lot of different options on what types of swings that I'm going to hang up there. We're going to start with like an infant swing, and then like a kid swing, and then over there eventually I'm going to put like a rope to climb or something like that that will hang up later. But let me show you the hardware. So this is the hardware. I'll link to it on Amazon in the affiliate links below, like some other stuff that I have down there. It did come with its own screws, which are these massive lag screws with washers. And so there's not really any directions, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the spots up on the beam on the other underside, and then I'm going to pre-drill using this, I think it's like a 5/16, and that should do it. And then I'll use a ratchet to tighten. It is complete, so I need some change to extend this to be a little lower, but I am so excited how this turned out. Feel free to leave any comments or questions in the description area below. Like I mentioned before, all of the products that I used, I'll either link to on Lowe's, or you can get them at Home Depot, I'm sure, or I'll link to affiliate links in the description below to all the Amazon products and tools that I used. Overall, I'm super excited about how this turned out. It is going to be just hours of fun for our family. I have more plans in the near future to build a play area over to my left, and then we can expand this by adding a swing or some kind of rope or some kind of apparatus on the right hand side over here. So again, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'll have lots more videos coming out in the next couple months, as well as like this video if you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.